This is Joe and Luke, and it's episode 4 of the Code Brew Podcast.
We made it.
We made it to 4 episodes. So, little recap, just from the last few days, I've added some new countries. We're in the UK. We're already in Germany. We actually have 2 people in the UK now. So, hey, people in the UK, we're excited about you. We're excited about Germany, and who else?
I don't think I knew that.
Those are the 2 that are coming to mind right now because I'm definitely not looking at the map. We're also in 22 states. Very, very, very excited about that. Okay, so I mean, people are, y'all are listening. We're excited that y'all are listening. We want feedback from you though, for sure, and we'll get to that moving forward. But the theme for today we've decided is setting goals, reaching milestones, and so we're trying to
what's that look like? Setting goals for.
So we want to look at setting goals and achieving those goals. Like, what are your goals for 2025? Like, we're going into the new year. We're really excited about it. So we want to look at goals and how those goals differ between our students, our newer nurses, and our experienced nurses. So we're going to break it down just like that. So, but before we get started anywhere else, we do have to go over our disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on Code Brew are solely our own and do not represent the views of our employers, professional organizations, or any personal or professional affiliates. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered medical advice.
Ta-da!
Yep. I think it's really important going into the new year that you set some goals for yourself. And I think it's always important to have goals for yourself. And those goals are going to change.
You're feeling like I don't have a goal. I have
talk about our own goal.
7 days, 10 days. I don't know. I don't even know what to do.
Podcast, so maybe we'll set podcast related goals.
Unless.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're getting inflated sense of self. No, it's
still wheezy. I'm getting over a cold.
He's got a smoker's cough. But your goals are going to change as you experience personal growth, professional growth, as you experience major life changes, whether, marriage, moving, buying a house, all sorts of different things. So your goals are going to change in nursing, because the career is so varied. So that's why we thought it was easier to break down goals based on where your current status is. So student nurses is our first group that we want to look at. So our new people are still in school and
pass the NCLEX.
Pass the NCLEX. Obviously, that's your long-term goal. Pass the NCLEX.
As a student, okay, that's it.
That is it.
So if I can visualize that?
They have 2 long-term goals: pass the NCLEX and get a job.
Okay, fair. They'll get a job.
They'll get a job. I mean, there's jobs aplenty.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. So they tell you to start from the end. So okay. So I want a job.
Yes.
I want to pass the NCLEX.
Yes.
How do I get there? What is that roadmap?
Oh man. So we discussed a few things that we wanted to touch on. So, number 1, having experience in hospital settings. So while you're in nursing school, or if you're even in the phase where you're planning to go to nursing school, seeking out the opportunity to work in a hospital setting is really going to teach you a lot about what you're getting into.
I mean, and you can work PRN. What is that?
Oh, yeah.
PRN's
I feel like we're pretty
4 shifts in a 6-week period or something like that. When we were talking about this a minute ago, I remember being in this lecture where they were talking. So I did not work in a hospital really prior to being a nurse. Now I did do an extern program, but at the time we were talking in this lecture and they were talking about it. And I feel like we talked about it for an hour and a half and it was still this very abstract alien, I mean, I don't know. I was I don't know what is this thing? And then I start the extern program and we fill out the MRI screening tool. We go down there and take all the stuff out of our pockets and we switch the electrodes on the patient. You just see it all and you see the machine and the room and the headphones and all that stuff. And you're able to I'm also a visual learner and a tactile learner. So actually going through the process is really helpful for me. I think a lot of people are tactile visual learners. So
I have actually a story about that because I went to an MRI machine the first time. Not the first time, but it was kind of an emergency and I didn't take all my stuff off and I had to get all new debit card and stuff because it wiped everything clean. And my watch went right here up to the top. Y'all can't see, but my watch got stuck to the MRI machine.
So you are the person that they talk about in in orientation.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, it's
For
just
some
I
reason,
took a wheelchair.
for some reason, I have a really weird story. I was like, and she's still stuck to that.
Yeah, no,
Because
it never
that
let me
is
go.
the story that.
But you will see people like our badges. Like I used to wear a lanyard, and it had like a little metal clip, and you'll see like suddenly your badge kind of starts floating off your chest towards the magnet. And I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. I know it's probably not safe, and there's like some rules against it, but it's still kind of cool.
I met a girl this summer at an event, and hair extensions.
Oh,
I guess they have clips.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. You're asking the wrong girl.
Yeah, well,
I'm all natural. You ain't got no hair.
So maybe I would have been no.
But just for a visual, for those that don't know what Luke looks like, he doesn't have any hair.
Bald and beautiful.
He's bald and beautiful.
That's my New Year's goal.
I think you missed the spot when you were shaving.
Are you serious?
No. But anyways, going back to realistic goals. Yes, working in a hospital.
Okay, so
yeah,
I will say an hour and a half lecture. Literally seeing it, got it down to like 10 minutes, understood it. It wasn't this vague concept. I'm like, I think I understand in a classroom setting. But also like, if you work in a facility and you already like kind of know their policies and their procedures and maybe they're related to your PCA role more, but still like you have a general understanding of the organization's policies, procedures, culture, who have contacts, people that you know how the system works, you know where the units are, where the different departments are. It's so nice to not have to be learning that when you're onboarding as a new.
I mean, I worked as an ER tech prior to starting nursing school, and then while I was in nursing school, and I cannot undervalue that experience.
Well, you have all those that's all those extra skills phlebotomy.
Yes, I had phlebotomy. I knew how to do an EKG with my eyes closed. I mean, it was like there's a lot of things. I mean, you do get a lot of extra skills whenever you're doing the ER part of it. But but also I started understanding the basics of what to look for in patients. I experienced my first code as a tech, right? So the things that a lot of students have to do. I kind of got knocked out as an ER tech, right? So,
I mean, it's definitely helpful. So I would say commit to trying to be PRN. If there's a float pool, my gosh, go to the float pool, because what I know where I thought that I wanted to start in nursing is not where I started, and I've still never worked. So I wanted to go into psych. And then I was like, I really need to advance my skill set, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then I just kind of realized when I got into nursing that I'll deal with, psych patients wherever I go. And maybe I don't want to only deal with psych patients. But, you flow, you really might think in school, I want to work with this patient population and, in this environment. And then you might get there and be like, what am I thinking? And, I don't know if it's a standard at hospitals, but I know a lot of times, once you start a job,
can't move in a year.
They want you to they want you to stay. So the orientation process is
costly.
It's very costly. I think there's estimates that say 60,000, 80,000.
Yeah. So so that's something that new nurses or student nurses probably don't know. The orientation, we're paying you to work, but you're not actually in the staffing model. And that is costly. That's an investment in you.
Because there's actually a nurse there to take care of the patient.
Right.
So you're in a training capacity. I don't even think that they realize that in the extern program. So an extern program is an investment in you as a student, to where you are going to add additional value, but really, we're paying you to teach you in the hopes that we're going to retain you when you.
And we want to grow you so that, we can keep you here and continue to grow you. It's truly an investment in you as a person.
So I think starting the extern program, whatever it is that they have at the facility that, is leading into nurse, they call them a bunch of different things.
I think it also helps, obviously nursing school is so challenging, right? I mean, nobody wants to go back and repeat nursing school, right? But learning how to balance school with a work schedule and, whatever other responsibilities you have, that's going to help you as well. Like that, time management piece. Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to help you like while you're here working, but at the same time, those are skills that you're going to need as an adult, right? It's all those things, especially these young
stuff. The school definitely teaches you time management. But
yeah.
I mean, we're going to be told every year for the rest of our lives that we could probably do better with time management.
Yeah.
I'm not a 7:08 out the door type of person.
No.
I am generally pretty busy, and I'm here kind of after my shift, and people are just like, "What is he?" So we're saying, being a PCA, doing some extra program, realizing the values, it's going to enhance communication, it's going to make you more comfortable with the facility.
So other realistic expectations during those times. So like you're doing clinicals, you're doing capstone project.
Maximize clinical time.
Yes, like use that time so wisely. Please assess. We've talked about this.
Grab a friend
on a previous episode.
Anytime you do stuff like and you're like first doing it, like it's always like a little uncomfortable. Like you don't know, but like until you do it a lot, like it's never gonna It's never, you're going to have to do it a lot to make it not uncomfortable, right? So,
and it's not just about finding things that are abnormal. I mean,
take a friend.
No two humans are alike, right? So like the normal is not really the normal. It's just the average. So like look at different people and see what normal looks like for that person.
I mean, I encourage students to take a friend to make them more comfortable. I'll go in there with them. But I'm like, look, grab a friend, go in, and if anything abnormal, make sure everyone that's here listens to it. Let's all listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll figure out what it is together. So if you have something weird or not,
if you find a normal,
let's all listen to it and learn from it.
Or what do you
I think sometimes we have like the isolated, you're in post-conference and somebody's like, I heard this today. And I'm like, oh, there were 3 other people on your floor. Did you all hear it? And I'm like, no, but like, remember, like, so while I want you to advocate for your clinical experiences and I'm going to advocate for your clinical experiences, hey, we've got students, whatever it is, hospitals can be really great about finding stuff for students and maybe sometimes not so great. Right. But, advocate for your classmates too. Like you see something cool, hear something cool. Even if you're going in and your nurse is like, I'm going to do it. Like, this is the first time I've met you. This is like kind of complex. Grab a friend to come in and see it.
Yeah, I love to do that. And I see students and I'm like going to a rapid or code or something. I'm like, hey, let's go. And they'll be like, that's 3 floors away. And I'm like, we'll tell your teacher what we did. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and, I have students, sometimes say, and they just don't realize the importance of it. But I'm like, hey, where's your nurse? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, she's just going in to like discharge a patient. And it's like, well, hold on, is there like no value in like learning how to discharge a patient? And they're like, it's not the one I'm doing my care plan on. It's like, no, hold on. Like, literally every single thing that your nurse is doing today is like something that you need to learn. Like you're learning about medicine, the discharge process, what it looks like outside of the hospital system, the follow up. Like, that's all like it's all stuff that's like not super easy. Like you have to go through that learning curve to get good at it. So you need to be versed with it over and over and over again. So I think that is also really important. I think also like an opportunity with even precepting. So like once you have the job, like, hey, let's say orientation for the ICU is 6 months, not saying, well, it's been 2 months, like this person's great, like they're in there, they've got this. No, I mean, like you should be with a person that you're precepting the whole time. Like every interaction is like is knowledge that you can impart.
Well,
like,
precepting is not an opportunity for you to do more sitting.
Fair. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but like, if you are precepting someone who is new, I don't care if they're experienced, I don't care if they're new, it is not an opportunity for you to like straight up chill Like,
question, like
please
you
ask
asking questions, like what's that med for? Why are
who's experienced a travel nurse or something, and they're just coming to the unit, but
still go, still want to know.
Not all travelers are created equal, folks. So,
but
like,
we know that
you need to be evaluating that situation.
Sometimes I worked in the ICU in a small town is a lot different than I worked in the ICU in a big city,
true.
right?
So that's very true.
There's a reason to have those.
Although I will say, like, some of the nurses that work in these critical access ERs out in the boonies, I'm telling you, they'll be the only thing standing between somebody and, somebody still on this earth and somebody not being on this earth anymore. Because, they don't have a lot of resources, and those nurses know how to use their resources wisely. Just a plug for critical access nurses, because I think you're doing God's work out there.
But so with precepting, so the whole time, I think it's a question, answer, learning, discussion.
Very much so.
That you should be having, and you've got like a transition or practice coordinator. It should be like, or something. It's checking in, like, hey, these are your goals this week. Are you meeting them? Like, how do you feel like you're getting along with your preceptor? Like, is it a good fit? Or, hey, you're switching to nights this week, so you've got a different preceptor. Is that a good fit? What does it look like? What are your goals this week? I think so. Setting those weekly goals. Like, I still need a patient with, whatever,
yes.
On multiple drips, that I'm titrating or whatever that looks like.
Well, we need to talk about feedback too. So, how to take feedback.
Organizations really should have like a preceptor class.
Yes, very much so.
And that should be on the onus of the nurse to take that as part of their professional development.
Right.
Goals I want to work with competent nurses, right. And not everybody learns the same way. And maybe there's different ways that I can teach. And sometimes we're going to have a good fit, sometimes we're not going to have a good fit. Maybe we have, but I think in those classes, that's where we learn that. And I think that the practice coordinator, transition coordinator that's working with the new grads can help out with that. I think also facilities that have like residency programs.
It's amazing.
It's got to be best practice.
Yeah.
It's
seek out places to work that have a residency program if you're starting out as a new nurse.
It's not a check mark.
It's another investment in you, in your growth.
Showing you the resources that we have in the organization to make you successful. So like an organization that's going to align you with resources so you are equipped to do your job and wants you to know about all those resources. Professional development, research, actually like taking you through a research project.
Did you go through a residency?
We didn't have residency. I did an extra, but we didn't have residency.
I was the second cohort of a residency. Yeah, well, we're really not a whole lot different. But my hospital, when I first started, they had just rolled out with the residency. There was one group that came before us. They were the first cohort and we were the second. But I still feel like, and I'm sure it's much more elaborate now, like what they do here at our hospital is, they have a lot more resources available to them. It's obviously developed. Just how things do. They evolve and they develop based on the needs. But even then, like, I feel like I learned so much because I was in like a critical care residency where we had a guy sit down and talk to us about vents and all the settings and all that stuff. And like, even though I had worked with a good RT, who was very helpful, even as an ER tech, having someone sit down and talk about those things, because you don't really.
Also, it's also all of the people that are kind of like in your shoes.
Oh,
right
100%. So yes.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like I've made it to where I'm like always comfortable kind of asking questions, or like maybe I just like live in an uncomfortable area of like, I'm just going to ask this question, even though this person's probably like, you should know this. My stance on it. If you don't feel like you can ask questions, you're not in the right environment.
Right. We've talked about that previously.
So, and I'll say it as well.
Questions. If you don't feel like you can ask questions, then you need to leave the room.
Maybe where they're like, they don't want to show like a deficit with people they went to nursing school with, learning so much in my area, whatever. But at the same time, I feel like it's a really good time to any question you have.
Like, somebody else has got that question.
Everyone has that question.
Yeah.
Like everyone has that question.
Especially in that kind of a group. There's no such thing as a dumb question in that kind of a group. When you're all new and you're all learning and growing together, the more questions you ask, the more value you're going to get from that interaction. So I think it's good. So moving on to
culture change our culture.
We're trying to. Hey, questions save lives. We keep saying that. So
did you set goals for like long-term nurses? So what do we set?
No, so we're looking at we need to transition to new nurses. We've kind of crossed over from students into new nurses, so it kind of helps transition. But so surviving the first year, our new grads, I mean, hopefully you're in a residency program. Please seek out places that have a residency program, and hopefully you're going to do some goal setting within that residency program.
Yeah, there should be a 30-day goal, 60-day, 90-day, 6-month.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get my ACLS.
Please.
I want to. So, you're setting goals through orientation about like different levels of like complex patients,
right.
Like more acute,
and
one patient, two patient, working your teams up depending on level of care.
You're looking at, skills, but you're also building like your foundation of your knowledge base. So like taking care of more complex things and understanding different, therapies and why we do things. Specialty patients.
Like you might be on a mixed acuity floor that has, thoracic patients, and then there's, they've got this like specialty 3-patient team. So like that would be a goal, charge nurse, relief charge nurse, that's a goal. Being a charge nurse is like super terrifying to me at first. It's so interesting. So I always felt like I was just like a regular nurse, not doing anything charge. I was like, gosh, we get all the admissions, I don't know, or why do I always get the admission? And then you're chargers and you're making those decisions, and it's like, it's just like a bigger understanding.
Well, one thing I'll say, so kind of to piggyback off of that, so one of the things our residents do here in our hospital is they spend time shadowing the house manager, and I wish every single person could spend time shadowing the house manager to understand like why we make the decisions that we make. I
think they go to the ED too, and that's good.
Helpful. It needs to, because there needs to be like a bridge between that relationship, between the floor and the ICU and the ED. Everybody needs to kind of understand that we're all on the same team.
It's a very different role in the ED. Like me asked, like, while I could triage between my 5 patients, like I think there's a lot of things like coming off the street. Like if you put me down on the ED, like I'm not gonna be able to triage.
Well, that's what you can say as an ED nurse is getting to the point where you're comfortable or being trusted in the triage role. I mean, triage takes a lot of good foundational knowledge. I mean, it generally needs to be one of the most experienced people in the ER to be able to make that sick versus not sick.
Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you all do.
Yeah.
And then, maybe what can wait, but has a 10-minute CMS criteria for some kind of intervention to determine.
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, you have to glean a lot of knowledge based on like what you're talking to someone about, like what they're telling you. And then you also are having to basically like look at them without being able to like physically assess them and figure out what's going on.
A lot of your job is, I mean, we talked about this before, so like the environmental assessment, like, your ability to assess is not just listening to it's like
you may be assessing
assessing the scene. You're assessing the family dynamics, social things, perception of care, safety.
Once you get to that point where your brain,
there's a pitcher in here, and they're on a fluid restriction. Like, there are so many things. Like I always ask students, I'm like, what can you assess? Like just walking into the room, like and just looking at.
I mean, you can do a lot of
their alert, their response,
based off of like the way they talk to you, based off of, I mean, like there's.
I was like, where do you have dressed patients?
ED.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like gown on or off? Like what is it that you mean? Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean they do come in the door typically.
I mean, I'm gonna shadow on the ED.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, have I had somebody walk in the door naked? Yes.
And what does that tell you?
I mean, well,
a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot. Yeah. Okay, so yes, assessment. We want you to develop that skill during your first year, especially your first year of nursing, and you're going to continuously evolve and grow in your assessment skills. I mean, you get to the point where, I mean, I'm at a point right now where I'm just assessing people all the time. I'm a people watcher, so like I use those assessment skills. Like I'm sitting in the airport assessing people. I am sitting, at Disney World oh my gosh, that's one of the best places people watch and assess people. I'll make up stories for them. So, I mean, those are like ways to actually work on that skill. I mean, if you're out and about, look at other people and see what you can glean about their life. I mean, you're not going to know if you're right or wrong, but you can still try to figure people out. So
it's like a Sudoku. You're advancing a skill set.
Yeah, you are. You're advancing your skill sets. So other things. So, I mean,
but this is for a new nurse. So like,
it's for a new nurse.
I don't think like a lot of facilities are like onboarding people with ACLS. And I know that previously we had somebody reach out asking about like, what do I do as a new nurse?
Code, yeah.
Code. So,
and we're going to look at that. I mean, that's
there are those basic things. I think we talked about a code, but like set a goal at 6 months. I don't know if you're working in ICU or if you're working on the floor. And, different facilities have different procedure policies in place of when you take criteria.
Depending on where you work, your place of work may not pay for you to do your ACLS certification. I mean, for me,
I think most places
probably do. Most places probably do. But I will say, like, for me, like, I would never work in an environment without ACLS. But that's also my specialty. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
You have to have it in your care.
Right. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, that's what I do every day.
But so, like, so that's a goal. Completing nurse residency, like, that's a goal. Looking at
mentorship. We haven't talked about mentorship.
Okay. I mean, like, and what do you... So like a formal mentor program.
I mean, a formal mentor.
I feel like I was like mentored by like 30. Like, so when I started nursing, I had all these like 30-year-old or not 30-year-old nurses with 30 years of experience.
No, I mean, like, when you're like in your initial time,
and it was going out and talking about like care provision and how like what could be better, what we could do, what we could own at the local level, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was raised by I was raised by Jen and Mark and Jenny and Laura and Stacy. Like, those are the people who raised me as a nurse. And
I thought you were going to say some really wild names.
No, those are the people who raised me as a nurse.
I don't know. I get Billy Bob.
I'll name Billy Bob in Mississippi. No, I mean, like, but they like poured into me, and you know, like, those were my mentors, and they invested in me.
But there are formal mentor programs.
If you have access to a formal mentor program, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
But I mean, like, do you see that in the first year? I mean, I say like, gosh, like, at a year, try to get a certificate. You know, at 6 months, ACLS. At a year, get a certification. Facilities are paying for your certifications. They're paying for your books or
or they should be. If they're not, they should be.
Or your classes. You go to a class.
I mean, they'll even pay for your books.
Yeah,
material. Yeah, prep courses and that kind of thing. I mean, you know, tests like the CCRN, I mean, it's very challenging. You need to take the time to study. I took the CEN.
Well, the classes are
very challenging. They are. The classes are actually pretty fun. These prep classes for these certifications are fun.
What was it, Laura Gasparis? I mean, like, I listened to her videos, and I would go to the coffee shop and I would listen and I would just laugh for like 2 hours. And I'd be like, shucks, I didn't study again today. And then but then I would be like repeating like something like some like really like intense level of knowledge like later. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just teaches everything like so funny. And there's
I've heard
such like a memorable story behind it that, like, while I did the laugh and it seems like a comedy show basically, or it's just very intriguing and interesting and relatable, you're learning very complex, and I think that says a lot. Like, someone that is like very intelligent can break, you know, something that's super complex down to something very, very easy.
I took a prep course for CEN by Pam Bartlett, and it was really good. Similar, yeah, but hers are mostly in person. So I mean, these are all like really positive things.
So the prep courses are helpful. I think going back to like actually even with like pre-NCLEX, I think if I took Kaplan, which is what I took, and I think a lot of the hospitals pay for like Kaplan, UWorld, whatever.
Oh yeah,
because you can accept jobs like 6 months before you actually graduate. Why is it? I think if I took Kaplan, like the way they taught me to think about questions and answers and formatting of answers. And now this is multiple choice, so you're not ever really given multiple choice in real life. And I know the NCLEX has changed a little bit. I swear, if they had given me that at the beginning of nursing school, I think I would have had to like study like half the amount of time. Just like the way that it
did you say
the ability to like remove.
so is it like a prep course for NCLEX?
Yeah, it was like a week.
So we took what was called the Hearst Review.
So they had a Hearst and NCLEX.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They were starting UWorld.
Marlena Hearst, like her Hearst Review is like, it's hilarious. It's amazing. Like I mean, I was so prepared.
I think Hearst was content, is what they told us, and so was it a lot of content?
100%.
So yeah, Hearst was content, and then like Kaplan, while it was content, it was more focused around like test
taking strategies,
which I thought was helpful. Like the logic process was super helpful.
Oh, yeah.
So we said certification. I think that's great. Talked about some resources with those professional organizations.
Oh.
You and I can both do better here. I had previously been a member of a professional organization to actually.
Yeah. I typically do.
Facility pays.
Yeah. I mean, I've been involved with ENA for a long time. And I'm not sure if I'm current right now, to be honest, but I typically have an ENA because I maintain that certification. But like, we should definitely be involved in like the ANA and like the local chapter of the ANA because the Kentucky Nurses Association.
Well, they meet up.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
They meet up. There's speakers. There's CEs involved. But that networking and the legislation component, I don't.
Well, that's something we talked about because
I don't know the specifics, but I know that like.
Yes.
When the Nashville nurse, whatever that incident was, the
Kentucky Nurses Association took action for sure.
We're the only state.
We're the only state, as far as we know, and we were definitely the first, and we may still be the only state that has made it illegal to criminally charge someone who makes a mistake unintentionally. If it's not unintentional, that there was no. And we're not lawyers, so we don't know exactly how it's written, but basically, if you make a true mistake without the intent to do harm to someone, it's in the state of Kentucky, it's illegal to be charged.
I am so excited that Kentucky is on the forefront of that we're first in something positive.
I mean, it's great.
We have a lot of first.
That's a major stand, though.
Oh, no.
And that's a great
reason. That's a lot about professional
organizations. I mean, I think it says a lot about our professional organizations in that they like push that. And I think it says a lot about our state government in that they recognize the importance of that too. I mean, because like, how
do we push how do you push people to join? So one, I think, is that, hey, like this is the certifying body. This is like the professional organization that like is certifying your certification.
Yes. Yeah, your advanced certification.
And here's what they do. And I'm sure we speak about this in residency. I'd actually like to go a list of all the things that go over in residency because I know they go over professional development. I know they go over certifications
but it's hard to know
but you're getting a lot of information. Almost like, gosh, could they go to a meeting? Like, can you go to a meeting and not be a member? I know that they had student memberships. I was a student member. I think it was like $5 or something.
Maybe we could reach out to them and find out like what kind of opportunities there are.
Yeah, like shadowing.
Yeah.
I
think it's important. Like, that's why you need to be a part of things, though, is that they are, advocating for us at the state level. For us, the Kentucky ANA, but whatever your state nurses association is, they even have like a local chapter in a lot of places. And then the ANA is obviously, they're in the national level and they're advocating for nurses, but like it's really important for us to be a part of this stuff.
If you're complaining about something and you have a way to fix it or a resource to fix it and you're not willing to utilize the resource to fix it, and it's not that like you deserve it, but you're definitely not you're not here to fix it.
You're part of the solution. Don't be someone who just points out problems.
I think solution oriented, and I think framing things solution oriented, rather than, I think that's empowering, rather than just being like, here's a problem, you fix it, and giving it to your manager. And then at the same time, having like this thought process saying, the manager hasn't even taken care of patients in 20 years. How are they making these decisions? Like we can't, those contradict each other, right? But, we want sometimes the easy option. And I think, if we have a way to fix it, and maybe we just don't know we have the way, maybe we don't know enough about these organizations at the general staff level to have like an insane amount of members. I need to join again. I need to be.
Yeah, we both need to. That can be one of our 2025 goals. We need to get active in.
I'm gonna join
our nurses organization, our state level nurses.
I'll join tonight.
Let's do it. All right, let's do it. Okay, so experienced nurses. So we don't want to cut this too short. But we are getting close on time. But experienced nurses, a few goals we wanted to set for y'all.
You're doing great. No,
I mean, seek out. So the first thing is just avoid becoming stagnant. I think that's easy to do. But like, this is a role where, I mean, healthcare in general is something where you need to be continuously seeking out learning opportunities.
Oh my gosh, but there's so many jobs. Like there's so many different things that you could do, different areas that you can work in.
Right.
I mean, even if you love your patient population, there's probably, and you work in CV on the floor, cardiovascular floor, you could go be some type of cardiovascular coordinator. You could transition to an option.
It doesn't have to be in leadership. It doesn't always have to be.
It's not actually like going to extra school. Like there are just so many roles. I feel like I hear a lot of people just like when I'm rounding or whatever. I'm gonna nurse for a year and then I'm gonna go straight back to school. I'm gonna get my F&P, my acute care MP. I'm going to CRNA school,
and those are wonderful things
and great goals.
Yeah.
I graduated with some very intelligent people that actually, like, as they graduated, they were already accepted into graduate school for like F&P, whatever. And I feel like you need a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
I think that's what really helps those programs is like when you
are
in the when you're in the program and you actually have like knowledge from working bedside for a few years.
Yeah, maybe more than one. I don't know if 1 year is really enough.
Well, I mean, this is going immediately into the program. Not saying it's wrong, but I think
you need some knowledge to build on.
I think it is good to for sure know what your goals are, and look at the things you need to do to get there. It's your governance.
Oh yeah,
it's a great resource. Preceptor Academy we talked about.
Right, precepting is great. I mean, it should be helping you grow as a nurse whenever you are teaching someone else.
As an experienced nurse, I definitely feel like there's going to be more mentor programs or maybe it's going to be more like amenable to a nurse with experience rather than a nurse in their first year that's trying to do residency and they're taking all of their critical care classes or all of their classes and learning and maybe starting a family, whatever it is that looks like. And, throwing in a mentor at that time, like a formal mentor, might be a little bit difficult. But like for an experienced nurse, I know when I first went into my first leadership position, they matched me up with a mentor that was like a director of nursing at another facility, and it was awesome to talk to a wealth of knowledge, and it was really interesting to understand another facility.
And continuously seeking out opportunities to be mentored. Like you don't have to have just one mentor. You can have multiple people who are wanting to pour into you, right? You're experiencing growth, you're evolving, so you might need different things from different mentors. I mean, I've been lucky enough to have many, many along the way.
Thank you.
No, I'm not talking about you. But yeah, I mean, also like, look at your personal goals outside of work. Make sure you're maintaining your work-life balance, setting boundaries to avoid burnout. I mean, we always want to make sure you're avoiding burnout and having good balance outside of work and focusing on self-care outside of work and things like that. Whatever brings you joy outside of work is really important. And like pay attention to people who are achieving their career goals. Look at people who are currently in leadership, whether it's at your facility or somewhere else. If we're lucky enough now to have resources like LinkedIn where you can get connected with people who are at the top level of different organizations and see, look at their career and see how they got there. I mean, you can always, somebody who is like close to you at your own facility who's in leadership, they may be willing to talk with you about kind of how they got to where they are, and that's a wonderful thing. But so we're at a point where we need to recap the episode. goal setting is really important. Going into the new year is a good time to set goals.
So in our next episode, are we going to have goals?
Are we going to have goals? Maybe. We might.
A&A. I'm joining.
Okay, we're joining A&A.
What else?
We need to set our own goals.
Okay.
And it can't be like 1 million followers on our podcast because that's unrealistic. We're going to set realistic, measurable goals, okay? SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Those are amazing. I learned about those in P school.
Oh, I was like, you just said SMART goals, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then once you have like a goal, I mean, depending on, the goals look like different things. They can be small and soon, and they can be far away and long. But if it's far away and it's long, you need to have some manageable steps. And then a way to also track your progress. And, when you achieve something, make sure you celebrate a win, whether it's big or small. So, all right. So that's the end of episode 4.
We'll miss you. Happy Christmas.
No.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. And Happy New Year. So that's it for us. Stay caffeinated, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.